Welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Kremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormbless. Welcome back to Lost in Roshar. Today we are into Wind in Truth chapters 29 and 30, believe it or not. If you have not read these preview chapters, you're going to want to tune out. But if you are reading them along with us with all the full Stormlight spoilers, welcome back to the episode. Christian, this is our second time recording. How are you?
I'm so great. I love when the internet cuts out and I've got to reset my room and my router. But look, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's okay, he says as he's panicking that it's going to happen again.
His eyes tell the lie.
Darting. Yeah, I know. I bet you're glad about the new intro because you were exposed about 15 minutes ago. I hate to tell you people, but Jimmy's safe hand was uncovered, and I did see it. It's a shameful moment on the Lost in Roshar podcast. What do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, I am ashamed. There are certainly better safe hand coverers out there than me. And, you know, I tried it once and I won't try it again because it felt wrong.
Yeah, I hope so, because I know all of our audience, even if they have forgotten, which does happen on occasion, they listen to the outro and they think, oh, yeah, you know, absolutely, I will keep that safe hand
They think
covered.
It's a game, and it's not.
No, and look, you've relapsed, but that's okay. It's firmly covered now with your Robert Baratheon gloves. That's fine.
Do you think that Jake would ever do such a thing?
Jake keeps both hands covered, just to be extra safe. I don't think it might be a weather thing, being in Canada, but
did you know that Jake is missing a finger on his left hand?
I don't. The way you're delivering that is so serious, and I'm. Are you serious?
No.
Okay, dude, you sold that so well.
Yeah,
the way you said that, I'm like,
I'm an actor.
I'm just thinking
bro.
to the times that he gestured with his hands. I'm like, did I miss something?
I was actually going to say I've been acting this entire time. I've actually never read the Stormlight Archive, but then I figured there's this one guy out there that's like, yeah, we could tell.
Yeah. I already jumped on that. All right. Speaking of audience members, we polled them this week to see if they're still listening because, look, the numbers are down. The studio is falling apart. What's going on? So we needed to know what's happening. And I wagered that about a third of the audience has left to triumphantly return once the book comes out. And the poll reflects that. So about 30% of you who are not listening right now
losers
will be listening. Yeah. You know, you couldn't just dip your toes in the waters of the preview chapters. It's safe here, guys.
I'm sorry, but listen, I think we even talked like I had never done the preview chapters. First time I'm doing them. This has been great, dude. It's been so fun. I mean, the only downside is having to wait that extra week, but like being part of the discussion week to week has been a blast. This is the most fun I've had on the podcast, to be honest with you. Like, this is a very exciting time. We're getting literal new, like, mind-blowing reveals almost weekly. I think people should maybe loosen up a bit.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Well, it's too late now anyway. There's like two sets, maybe one or two sets of chapters to come out. But look, the vibes are positive in the comments. Everyone is keen to join us again. They haven't abandoned us. They're just waiting. They're waiting in the bays. And look, if you got a book series that comes out every 4 years, what's waiting a few more
They're
months?
never coming back, dude. My dad said the same thing, and he still hasn't come back. Is that funny?
Yeah, it is funny because your dad abandoned you, Jimmy, and that brings me great joy. But look, unlike your dad who never returned, I have faith in our audience. I trust our bond.
All the trauma is just pouring over me. I feel like Renarin trying to ask someone out.
You know what? Look, sometimes you support your friends. Sometimes you got to put them in their place, give them some tough love.
Why do you think he left? If you had to guess,
you know what? I think it was just the whining, the constant whining. I think that's what. This is me just channeling my.
You're witching and moaning. Yeah, I think that might have been it.
Yeah, that might have been it. Sorry. Now I actually feel bad. It's okay, Jimmy. Maybe he'll come back one day.
He won't. Oh my god!
All right. What's a good segue from from that disaster.
I honestly don't know how to segue out of that. This is the first time I've ever been stumped in my entire life, but
yeah, I mean, he segued out pretty quickly, didn't he?
He did. He actually got on a segue and left. And
yeah. God, that's the worst when they leave on a segue. It's just a bit undignified, isn't it?
He said he'd come back if this episode got 10,000 listens. So it's really up to the audience at this point.
Yeah, slap that like button.
That's why, dude. This is why I've been showing off my safe hand, though. I'm struggling.
Only hands. That's a joke of the week. That's like waiting.
There is absolutely no way that anyone is ever going to beat that. That was incredible. Tremendous.
Oh man, we got a lot of good jokes this week. I'm keen to do that segment at the end of the episode.
Let's just skip the chapters and do those.
Yeah, God, wouldn't that be fun? So, Jimmy, how'd you find the chapters this week?
A couple bangers, bud. I mean, it's hard to beat these. I mean, Lift is my favorite character in the Stormlight Archive, and Renarin, watching him putter around is sick. Now, I didn't love these chapters. I thought they were okay. There's some cool stuff in here for sure. I mean, we get more stuff about from sibling and cultivation, honor, and maybe there's an else color in the Ghost Buds, which is really nice. I was kind of hoping, Christian, that maybe I had been reformed and now seeing Lift with some fresh eyes after a couple of years, that maybe I would be enjoying Lift a little bit more. That is not the case. Still kind of takes me out of the story, but there's still a lot of really good stuff there. And you pointed to this when we talked about the chapters before we recorded, is that you can kind of see hints towards her maturity. And I think that it's going to, I've said this since the get-go, even though I'm not a huge Lift fan, I still believe that Sanderson could take Lift and transform her into something amazing and have this amazing character arc. It's very similar to I guess I can say, because this isn't a Robin Hobb podcast, but there's a character in the Live Ship Cherish trilogy named Malta, and I couldn't stand her. By book 3 of that trilogy, she became my favorite character. So I believe in the process of transformation for characters. So I'm leaving open the door the idea that Lift could grow on me quite a bit. And I hope it's in this book. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like, Lift is the weird exception to my rule of, like, generally not liking the quippy stand-in characters that Sanderson does. For some reason, I think it's just because she's young, my brain just is more okay with it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I quite liked the Lift stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, it's all right. For me, it's okay. Sometimes it's a little egregious. And for some reason, like, I get the sense that every quippy character is, like, somewhat British from when Sanderson writes them. Like, she's started to sound like Wayne with all the, like, words in it. Just a bit of that energy.
If she starts eating beans on toast, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, but besides that, there was a lot of like, I mean, of course, there's always a lot of lore stuff hidden throughout, and same with the Rlain and Renarin thing. Lots of lore stuff was hidden there too, and I just want to commend us for correctly predicting that these were going to be the chapters this week. We said this last week. Yeah, so go us.
We finally got something right.
Yeah, I know, for once. But I don't know, I don't know about you, but I was getting major baby champion signposting.
So I agree. I mean, we said this about the red eyes, and I think I saw someone in a comment somewhere being like, "Oh, it's so good that this is putting the baby champion theory to rest, because Renarin seems like really well, or not Renarin, I'm sorry, Gavilar seems really well adjusted." And I'm like, that is not what I got out of this chapter. This gave me like, I'm going to hack them to bits, revenge by any means necessary. I was like, this is very concerning dialogue from a 5-year-old. Like, I did not get that at all. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this person really hates the baby champion theory. That's the only way. But what I will say is this. Sanderson had that comment where he said he put a character on a track in book 5, and he intended that character to do something in this book the whole time, and then when it got to the moment, he had him do the opposite of what he had intended because it felt right. And I'm wondering if Gavilar is that character. A lot of people thought it was Adolin. A lot of people were thinking it would be Adolin turning on Gavilar or something like that, and it actually ends up not doing it. I think that it might end up being Gavilar.
I don't know. Well, at least, okay, what checks out about Gavilar is that he is very much fitting the champion theory, because, like, Lift is like, sometimes you got to do people think it's the wrong decision, but you know it's right, sort of thing. And there's all this like, I want to play swords with Grandpa. Like, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And he's so troubled. Oh, like, my mum gave me up to an unholy beast. Like, okay. Yeah, hate when mum does that. And then Moash killed dad, and I'm going to do anything. You know, like, it's just, this is a child who Tarabanjin will be able to manipulate if he wanted to.
Yeah, he's going to attempt to, at the very least, right?
I don't know. I don't even know if we can say that for sure, but let's just say he's primed for it. Gav is like basically asking for a chance to battle somebody. And then even beyond that was like the epigraphs, which also said something about like, I don't feel a child with a sword that they can't wield yet. And I don't fear the man who doesn't think, something along those lines.
As I fear not the child with a weapon he cannot lift, I will never fear the mind of a man who does not think.
Right. And I don't know, just I saw that and I'm just like, there's a lot of like, at least thematically interesting things that could fit with the baby champion stuff.
Yeah. You know? So me, and this is, I'm reaching here probably, but I feel as if the reason why it just seems, there's a lot of things seem obvious. Dalinar taking up honor, so we don't think it's going to happen. The baby champion theory seems like it's getting more fuel right now. That's why I'm kind of thinking maybe there's a chance that Gavinor is not going to end up being the baby champion, but it actually may have been what Sanderson intended. And then he got to the moment and he said, this isn't going to work. Or maybe he read the online message boards and was like, people will be pissed if I do this.
Yeah. Or like, he's like, it felt wrong. Low-key doing it because we all called it.
Yeah, he does not love his twist being unveiled.
Who knows? But you know what I forgot about until right now? That the Shallan was in this first chapter too. We kind of
because now we're trying to figure out who's an Else Caller in the Ghost Bloods.
Did you spot like the real big plot hole in this moment, which is intentional?
No.
When Shallan she peeks into Shadesmar to see what they're doing, and they're like riding the Mandra boat or whatever in the distance. But when you go to Shadesmar, right? Like, let's say you're looking at Shallan in person. If you flipped it to a Shadesmar view, who do you see with Shallan? At all times. Who you don't see with her regularly in person. Yeah, Testament or Patton, right? Yeah, they're there. And when she looked at these guys, the Ghost Bloods, no Spren. So they got into Shadesmar without. Maybe they're not an Else Caller because there's no Spren with them. So how the heck did they get there?
Oh,
right. That's a major like thing we should be noting.
Something is up.
Yeah, something is up. So I don't know. I guess there's another way, which is like checks out with how the Cosmere going. It's like there's cool magical ways to do things, and then someone will invent a little thingamajig that you press a button, and now it works. Like technology is improving. So maybe the Ghost Bloods have like a little realm switcher, flick it over to Shadesmar, and then there you are. Maybe. Another thing that I'm going to connect, just because we're on the topic of the Ghost Bloods, is that I thought it was quite interesting that Vasher was mentioned in the lift portion of this chapter, when last week we were postulating that Vasher was taken in by the Ghost Bloods, and I think that felt like Sanderson saying, "Remember that guy? He might be important. He's still relevant."
Yeah, I mean, and he does it in the Shallan part. He says, "Oh, Renarin doesn't like that when I say that." Yes, and then of course Renarin's up next. Actually, this has always been a little bit of a thing with Sanderson that I'm not a huge fan of. Sometimes like a character will be out of view for a long time, and then their appearance will be kind of a surprise. But usually in the chapter right before, he will actually mention that character that you haven't seen. And I'm like, I would like to be more, you know what I mean? I'd like to be surprised by it a little bit. But he's almost trying to like warm you up to realize they're coming back.
It reminds me of like when you're watching the new episodes of Game of Thrones would drop, and they do like the the recaps, but then there's like a clip from like 7 seasons ago.
Yes, TV shows are terrible at this.
Yeah, it's like Ned having a chat at Winterfell, and you're like, so that's really important for this episode.
This is also a problem with the TV show From. Same issue. They do it all the time.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, okay, so I kind of get what's coming now. I also just wanted to note, this kind of got me quite worried when Shallan got her satchel back. The strap was tied haphazardly, and we all know that straps can go wrong pretty quickly on Roshar. Just wanted to point that out for all the strap
doing another
people.
strap plotline. I'm not doing it.
Strap in for that one, Jimmy. I'm just saying it could break, and there could be a big plot around it. Maybe we need to know who broke the satchel strap. I'm just saying, with all the Way of Kings nostalgia. Anyway, Jimmy's going to kill me. All right. Other moments in the Shallan portion. Patton was kind of fun, being like, I want to be there when you die. Seems like a thing that friends do. That was like, Patton's one of those like tastefully peppered in quippy dudes. You know, the Patton quips are placed just right. And we get kind of like teased that Shallan, once again, has a more mystery in her childhood. So she's like, oh, when I went to Shadesmar back in Carbranth. Wait a minute. No, not then. When I was younger. Dun, dun, dun. And you're just like, there's nothing much to go on, but you're like, okay, so she was doing this in her youth.
Yes, before Yasna.
Right. And then her justification is like, oh, because she's also like, oh, I can almost like, I've like actually entered Shadesmar in the past, but light weavers can't do that. So why can I do that? And she's like, oh, it's because I've got 2 spren. So there's more spren than people, so they draw me into their world. And I'm like, I don't know if that checks out.
I do not believe it does. No, I think it's because her mom's a herald. I think that's why.
Yeah, straight up. I think it's mum doing a FaceTime call from Braze.
Yep.
And she's like forging a connection with Shallan that she can go into Shadesmar. I think that was a red herring where she's just like, oh, it must be because of this reason. I don't think it's because of that reason either. Yeah.
So who do you think is she about to go reach out to? She had an idea about who to go to for help because she couldn't face the Ghost Bloods alone. Who is it? Oh
yeah, we kind of end up on that cliffhanger, right?
Yeah. Who do you think it is?
Well, it's got to be Renarin and them because that's who she arrives to. Right, in the next chapter.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Or Danny DeVito.
I mean, I am waiting for Danny DeVito to show up in this book. Sanderson did tease him quite a bit.
In my mind, Taravangian's always been Danny DeVito. Some days I'm crazy, some days I'm smart. Yeah. So anyways, I start blasting.
All right. Can I just make I'm going to make a case, and it's kind of like in that realm of like Henry Cavill and stuff that like everyone casts him as everybody.
Yeah,
but hear me out because this is another big him as Navani is very popular. But I'm telling you, dude, Bryan Cranston as Taravangian would be chef's kiss. Ooh. Chef's kiss material.
Oh my goodness, that
he would be like the right, and he would be the Sean Bean. You know, like he gets everyone into Stormlight, and like, oh, Bryan Cranston's in it, but he's not like the main guy. He's kind of like this other guy.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that's my casting. I don't do much casting, but I'm saying Bryan Cranston as Taravangian. Lock it in. I reckon
you'll get Colin Farrell, and you'll be happy. All right.
Yeah, that dude knows his prosthetics. No, I want Aaron Paul as Lift. I was so close to doing a Jesse impression, but I won't.
There's only one way I could do a Jesse impersonation, and it's not family friendly, so I just didn't. I saved you some editing time.
Yo, Taravangian, these pancakes. Fight.
Slap, dude. Yeah.
I think he would be a great Lift. Anyway, okay, so let's go to Lift. I immediately went to tinfoil mode. She used she used pigs in a simile or an analogy. And I was like, oh, so like Rosharians know about pigs? And then I literally went to Google and wrote pigs copper mine. because that's how unhinged we are. But like, there's a lot of talk of like pork ribs and stuff in Stormlight. So I guess like pigs left Shinova, or like I don't know. It was just one of those things. I'm like, this ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing.
It could also just be a slip.
Do you think so?
It could be.
But like, it's one of those things. Like, how do the humans not figure this out earlier? Like, everything has like carapace, and then like a freaking pig walks
little baby's walking around.
Yeah. It's like, what is this?
Trying to cut some bacon off its fat back. Like, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like because I live in Australia and there's a lot of weird stuff here that
you can't name half the things you see in your backyard.
Yeah, I know. It always strikes me. The thing that strikes me when people visit, it's like the birds. I realize how insane our birds sound when like someone not from Australia. They sound like people screaming, like they're getting stabbed or something. It sounds like there's a fight outside.
Foxes sound like that.
Yeah, really?
Okay. Oh, it's horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess pigs are chill. And then Wendell. Do you like Wendell?
Do you
at least like Wendell? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're kind of going through the back and forth, right? Because there's the Azish guy, and Lift's being Lift about him.
Yeah, likes the
like,
buns.
Wendell's like, stop it! You can't do this.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
And like when he got the secret handshake, I was kind of cheering for him. I was like, I like him with his little mustache face. Very cute.
He's cool. I have no problem with Wendell. I'd get a Wendell plushie.
The effect of Wendell, I'm going to be specific reference here, reminds me of when Sirius Black shows up in the fireplace in Prisoner of Azkaban. That's how I imagine the CG being done. I don't know if you remember that scene.
I do not remember it, no. I never saw the movie. I only read the book.
Oh, I see. Best one of the bunch. But Wendell has written 17 poems about Iriali footstools. And, that's meant to be a joke, but that's not getting past me. Because the Iriali are like one of the biggest wild cards on Roshar, because Iriali are a group of humans that didn't come from Ashen. They've come from somewhere else and they've landed on Roshar. And a lot of this we've learned through just like people interrogating Sanderson, but that's okay. And what's also interesting is Adolin's mom / Dalinar's dead old wife, Iriali. And look, there was a interlude read before the preview chapters featuring the Iriali heavily. So I won't mention what we know from this book, but they're a wild card. They're a wild card entity. And basically the lore between them is they're on this like grand journey through the Cosmere. And I think Roshar was like the third planet or something they went to. And they're on a journey, I think, of about 5 planets that they're meant to get through. So anyway, I was just like, if Wendell's writing poems about their footstools, like, I'm hitting a wall of what the point was meant to be. But I don't know. I guess it checks out that they're kind of interesting people. I don't know. Wendell's just a bit weird. Why is he doing that?
Yeah, and that's the question. It's like, does he actually know more? And like, he's at the point now where he's just talking about footstools because he's exhausted all other things, or is he just a real big weirdo?
Yeah, like, do they travel like using cool footstools? Like they're just like riding a bike. Like,
that sounds so like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to me,
right? It reminds me of what's his name in One Piece riding his bike on the water.
I know exactly who you're talking about, but now I can't remember his name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Admiral dude, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we get the Vasher hint, and then we get like the whole banter between Lift and Gavnor, and I never saw this team up happening. But in a weird way it works. Like, he's like, where does Lift fit in with the 5-year-olds? Great, cool. And we're getting, we kind of touched on this earlier, but we get like a lot of hints that Gavnor is a very troubled child. But Lift is being kind of like a consoling older sister to him, which is pretty sweet. But she still has her own thing where she's not okay with growing up. She's still like wearing her wrap. She's not cool with it. But Wendell's like, hey, you're going through puberty though. Look at you checking out all these Windrunners.
Windrunners, which she's sus about them.
Yeah, she doesn't. She ain't trusting him for a second. Then, like, okay, theory time and like lore time, where Lift can just chat to the sibling. Because the other chapter we saw how that was a really special thing when Rishu was able to talk to the sibling, and it's like, wow. But she's just like, hey, tower, and it has to show up every time. And Wendell says it's because he sensed Cultivation's touch on her, and then we get into the whole like Lift being super super duper special stuff.
Lift ends up being Cultivation, turning into a dragon that eats pancakes. Oh my goodness, this could be wild.
Yeah, pancakes are the key to everything, I think, when you break it down. Yeah, I don't know. Like, do you think actually Cultivation's like setting up a successor?
I mean, it's certainly possible. But isn't like Cultivation somehow connected to the old magic, or am I?
Yes, yeah, with the Night Watcher, but yeah, because we kind of that's also touched on in the next chapter too. But like, I don't necessarily think she's a successor. The question about Lift is like, why does she get fueled on Lifelight? Because like all we know is that she went to the Night Watcher and basically said like, I don't want to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's basically how that conversation went. But we don't know exactly like what she got out of that deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been explained. Because like we know when Dalinar went, he got the shush, he never remembers her name thing. We've heard about people like seeing the world upside down from seeing the Night Watcher for a long time. But like, what was Lift's boon and curse? We don't actually know what she got out of that. The Lifelight thing is probably part of that, but I don't know what the rest is.
Yeah, it has to be. I don't know if we'll get that answer this book.
No, that seems like a long game kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What did you make of the germ talk?
That was a bit wild. It kind of made me like not want to be a highly invested Warbreaker character because you can feel every bit of bacteria in your body. That sounds terrible.
Well, so for me, one, it was either like Sanderson read a fact of the week and wanted to put it in the book.
But doesn't everyone know that though? Like,
well, I mean, it's very specific, right? Like people with very detailed and specific sense can feel. Oh, it's millions of upon tiny creatures living on the skin of humans. They exist in your gut, on your skin, all over you. And I'm like, maybe he read an article about like gut health or something. I don't know. But my other thing was, do we think that maybe there's a chance that Sanderson's going to play with the idea of introducing germs from other planets ends up causing mass issues? Right.
He's played with that idea already.
Because don't we have the Pure Lake plague or something like that?
Yeah, which is the common cold brought over from Scadrial.
Right. So I think this is maybe reminding us that this is something we have to think about. It's either that or, like I said, he read like an op-ed and was like, oh, this is something I want to do. But I think it's a signpost of like, hey, just remember these germs. Remember this and how they interact with different people in different places.
Yeah, I think that germ warfare is going to be huge coming into the Cosmere. Like, why wouldn't it be? Intentional or otherwise. Like, we've got the common cold ripping through Roshar. Surely they've got a sickness that other planets don't. Although Rosharians seem to be like pretty tough people. Tougher than your average person. Anyway, so it kind of just ends with a bunch of fart jokes, and then it fizzles out to Gavilar being like, "Hey, Grandpa, can we do the baby champion scene?" And Dalinar's like, "No, not yet, son.
We're not in the climax.
That's on day 10, my brother." Okay, and then he leaves with Navani, and he's like, "Yay, cool!" And Left's like, "I'm coming to the spiritual realm too." So that's gonna be cool. Like, yeah, bring her along. Nice. And then we get to the next. I was going to say the much more interesting chapter, but I'm not. I don't know. Like, just I don't know if I'm ready to say that about this chapter. But I personally, like I said it last week, I've been really waiting to hear from these two more than Lift, I think.
Yeah. Well, here you are. I mean, we called it, and Renarin is here, and just thinking about how can feel the tower. Is not sure. If it was all too easy. I thought that was an interesting. Like, it all felt too easy.
Yeah, I like that too. He's he's the Cosmere reader who's not too sure about the sci-fi arc. You know, he's like, I miss the days.
That's right.
You know, where we weren't flying around. Heads up for all the jump cuts that are probably happening now. My internet's cutting out about every 10 to 15 minutes, so it's going to be an editing nightmare. Anyway, Renarin. Yeah, he's finding things too easy. And I guess that is a bit of a meta commentary, because sometimes I'm like, things are changing pretty quickly. But I don't know. I don't know how I would feel in this scenario. I think like having a space to grow things and the temperature changes there is like pretty neat thing. Don't think it would get under my skin too much.
Nice. I agree.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for making me feel better, man.
It's good. Good stuff, man. You're doing great.
Yeah. All right, thanks, bro. You know who else is doing great? The Kremlings pollinating. Yeah, sure they are. They're definitely spying amongst the reeds of...
Seem to be interested in Renarin and Rlain.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Pollinating. That's the first I've heard of that. I don't know. Kremlings are pollinating. That seems like a massive conspiracy to me. Yeah. And look, there's two sides to Renarin, right? We got this weird, like, spren bond that he's got. And then we've got his, like, personal growth where he's struggling to interact with others. It seems like he's on the spectrum. And it's interesting to finally get more of that in his head and to get these interactions between him and Rlain, and him and Dre as well had a nice chat. And it seems like Bridge 4 are really helping him work through it, because he's just like, he's comfortable enough to be like, hey, can you just be plain with what you're trying to say to me, because I'm kind of struggling here, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the boys in Bridge 4 are like major bros, man.
Super inclusive, very understanding. We love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And we get straight up thrown into a vision. Big old vision time out of nowhere. And this is where like I start to get really confused, because I think this is the first, well, ever since Oathbringer maybe, that we've seen Renarin get a vision, and we don't really know what kicks these off. I couldn't really spot a catalyst. Could you?
No, I mean, maybe it's this situation in general. Like, I don't have a concrete answer for why they're happening, but there has to be a pattern involved with it.
There has to be. And the fact that Rlain can see it was explained pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like how Shallan's seemingly amazing ability to go into Shadesmar was explained away very quickly, where I think that the explanation we're sold isn't the case, because like we're going through all these possible futures with Rlain and Renarin, and when he's looking at himself sitting on like a throne and with his Warhammer figures in the background, Rlain's like, oh dude, you're kind of wearing like singer clothing, what's that about? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. So that kind of just signposted me like their relationship is actually going to go somewhere more significant. Like, if there's any possible future, I think that one was the most likely out of all of them. Because we had that one, we had the Dalinar one, which was the death rattle scene.
Right.
Man watching his homeland go into dust. And then we had... was there a separate one about the Everstorm, or was that the first one? Was that just in the background of him sitting on there? I don't know. But he saw the Everstorm. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why is that there? That's already happened. And I'm like, no, man, like whatever this storm is, there's another one. There's another one coming. Like, why aren't you guys realizing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are swells in the rhythms of Roshar currents, and old gods will watch, Gliss said. Old gods, Rlain said, as Toomey in his gem heart changed to rhythm of the lost, the unmade. Older still than honor, cultivation, and odium.
Nightstones and wind, right? Is what we're getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big teasers about what was going on there in the timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I just started thinking, like, are there more than just those three, or are those three like the building blocks? And then if it is those three, like, what the heck even are they, and how the hell do they even work? Because we're very across shards and stuff, but we don't know how this works.
Yeah, I think this is going to get real messy, because it says when honor and cultivation came to Roshar, Gliss said, deep within the old Days beyond memory, times as dark to history as the depths of the ocean are to light. You, Rlain, were already here, your people. Rlain attuned to the rhythm of winds for something as old as those distant years. Humans had to come to Roshar long ago and brought Odium with them. He had been their god who had accepted the loyalty of the ancient singers after honor betrayed them. Rlain hadn't put together the deeper truth that even honor and cultivation had to come to Roshar and found the singers.
Yeah, so like I think the story we're being told is like humans were created by the shards.
Mm-hmm.
So like who created the singers?
Yeah, and did they always have rhythms and that's kind of what the question is like, did we have forms? Were there spren? Bliss is like, I have no idea.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm just an exposition spren. Okay.
Yeah, relax. I don't know. It's not my job.
I get. Yeah. But yeah, like I guess that is the question. But he has the rhythm of the winds, which suggests that there may have been rhythms predating all of this kind of stuff. Regardless, it's neat to get more teasers about all of that stuff. And then we also got more teasers about, so like when Rlain sees the vision too, Renarin's very emotional, and he says, he kind of lists how long he's been having these visions, and he cries and it's like, finally someone else can see it with me.
Yeah.
And one of the ones he says, ever since I crept on the floor and scrolled numbers, right? So I was like, is this alluding simply to Words of Radiance when he was writing the countdown, or is this alluding to childhood?
I'm thinking childhood.
Yeah, it could be one of those like bait and switches where we're meant to think it's like the countdown, but he's had this for a long time. Although I think it has to do with Gliss. So that's when I started to think maybe it is simply just from Words of Radiance onwards. But it hasn't been all that long. It's only been like maybe a year or two.
Yeah, like get over it.
Yeah, like mate. But yeah, because like his reaction made me feel like, oh, this has been a lifelong sort of thing.
Well, we also don't know how time passes in those visions, right? Like it could feel way longer than it is. So
yeah, maybe. And then Bam just shows up. It's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill everyone. I'm the villain of this book. And oh wait, no, sorry. I'm just seeing now. The last vision was one of the most interesting ones to me. The 12 figures on a field of grass where the grass wasn't moving. So that's Shinovar. And they're trying to spot who they are. They said one's a horn eater. And I'm like, rock, I guess. I don't know. One's Makabaki, which means they're dark skinned. So, I mean, that could be many characters. And then the blue person with white hair. And I was like, is that Syl?
The Tons, right?
Well, they say that because you think of like Axes the Collector and all that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But they said it was a female, and I was just like, is that... I know, I just was like, Syl's there. So, like, is it Syl? But who are the other 11 people? I don't know.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. Classic fantasy visions. It's nice to have them.
They're my favorites, dude.
Yeah. Like, these are the classic fantasy visions. The Dalinar ones are like these cool new ones, but these are like, this takes me back, man.
I love prophecy and visions and dreams. It's all my favorite stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like a blue rose in the wall or whatever it was.
The House of the Undying, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. So, yeah, I guess, okay, so we've got option 1, Renarin King wearing singer clothes. Option 2, Dalinar watching like the death rattle take place, his homeland falling into dust. Or option 3, 12 people standing in Shinovar, and it gave him a peaceful feeling. So maybe that's like the happy ending option. Or it's like a scene in book 10 where we're all holding hands.
I mean, there definitely could be. It could be a scene from the back 5, but also maybe wonders if like, are we going to get 3 climaxes in this book and we'll see all 3 possibilities and then like it's chosen somehow? I'm just thinking like Dalinar going into the realm. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking, like, how trippy can we get?
We can get very trippy, I think. I think this book is going to get very, very, very trippy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with truth in the title. He's probably going to play with the nature of truth, what's real, what's not.
Yes.
Spiritual realm, hijinks.
Can change on the wind.
Oh, God. All right. With that, let's just joke of the week this up and get out of here, man. I'm sick of this internet cutting out. Inspiration is low. Sleep is low. Inspiration's low, but that's okay. There's always next week. All right, jokes of the week. What's your scoring system, Jimmy? Walk the people through it.
We have geez, I don't know. I mean, air horn applause, that's good. Crickets, rim shot, trombone, all bad. I would say that our best is probably applause. I think if I give you applause, you should be pretty happy with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. All right. We got a bunch this week. People are inspired. I won't read, like some people submitted like 12 in their span read, but I'm just going to pick some bangers for you. Okay. So these come from Jacob. What does Kaladin say when Lirin becomes honor? Storms, father.
I like that just because it's a distinct call to our Lirin episode where we talked about Lirin taking up honor. I really like it.
Okay, great. What do you call a fellow bridgeman who really wants to become a soldier? A chasm fiend. The groan. It's the groan on top of it for me.
God.
All right. Okay. All right. This was a really, this one got me. All right. This one's from Dante. Dante says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast for the past half year and it's been one of the best things. I'm looking forward each week to keep me entertained while commuting to work." And we convince him to read the preview chapters. All right. This is my favorite one out of his.
Okay.
What he calls, he also appreciates the creme de la creme puns, which I quite like.
I do
that
too.
being all right. Okay. I love this one. All right. Who's the most uncertain person on Roshar?
I do not know.
Yasna.
What?
Yes, no.
Oh
yes,
my
nah.
God.
Come on.
That's a no from me, dog. That's a no from me, dog.
Dante, you got me laughing. All right, I'm just saying that.
He must be Australian.
Yeah, he must. Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right. Oh, God, some of these are rough. Okay, Kevin. Stumbled across your podcast on Spotify and it's got me through many a long day landscaping in Wanaka, New Zealand. Amazing.
Oh, cool.
Okay, bad joke incoming. What did Odium say when Cultivation said he would always struggle to escape Roshar? Mama didn't raise a quitter.
All right, that one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. Did you like the record scratch in there?
Yeah, that kind of got me off guard. I was ready for the new Linkin Park single to start playing.
Crawling in. No, that's good.
All right. Oh, man. Tyler. Okay. We're going to end on Tyler because Tyler he's put in, no joke, about 12.
Oh, boy.
And they're all solid. And you know what, Tyler? I'm going to respect you. You've earned your spot here. And we're going to go through them all rapid fire style.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Rapid fire. I'll quickly read his message. He says, "G'day, Mr. Kremling and Mr. Stormblessed. Thank you for the podcast each week. Your podcast is my favorite, and I listen to it a couple of times a week. Christian, you point out so many amazing details I miss, and Jimmy comes up with things I never would have thought of in a million years."
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Jokes. Here we go. Oh, he says, "Christian, you'll have to tell us listeners if Jimmy has his safe hand covered right now." Now he does. Thank goodness. I'm hoping that hand you're showing me is not your safe one. Anyway, mate. All right. Okay. What does a Rosharian say to the first Windrunner they see flying around? "What are you, chicken?" All right, he's going to improve. We can only go up from here.
Swing and a miss.
We can only go up from here, Tyler. All right. Oh, God. How does an Alethi judge keep order in their courtroom? With their gavel.
That's the best one. That's the best one this week.
All right. He's got more to go, mate. He's got more to go. All right. Why did the Blackthorn get in trouble during basic training? His commanding officer said he was always dilly-dallinaring around.
Not a fan.
How did Adolin think Shallan looked the first time he saw her? Radiant.
I mean, it's fine. It's like, all right, dude, I guess. It's not bomb material, but it's close to bomb.
Okay. What's more dangerous than high storms in the Horneater Peaks? Sanderlanches.
It's a little meta. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go down a little bit. I'm sorry. There's too many, Tyler. All right. Okay.
Tyler had a 5-minute set ready to go.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, I can't wait to do the last one. It's my favorite, but we'll few more. Okay. How did Yasna find out Shallan was a Radiant? She caught on to the pattern.
God.
Jimmy's going through it.
This is honestly ruining my day.
All right. I'm going to just end on my favorite because it's just so on point. How does Elokar feel when he is carrying his shard blade? Strapped.
Oh my God. He did it. He did it, boys. He did it.
He's brought it back.
He brought it back, and that's a Lost in Roshar exclusive. Tyler bringing you heat. Ganon drops back. I love to see it. It's great.
Yeah, I think that's the one that earned his spot there.
Yeah, that was good.
Cheers, guys. Plenty more bad jokes next week. But as always, thank you for accompanying us on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important chapter a man can read is the next one. We'll see you next time as we jumped into the next set of preview chapters.
And if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. And if you have questions or theories, span read us at lostinroshar@gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Lost in Roshar. Remember to keep that safe hand covered.